Abu Dhabi Education Council, ADEC, Environment, Health and Safety, presents the Environment, Health and Safety Management in Schools. We believe in having a strong EHS culture and standards in the Emirate of Abu Dhabi schools. EHS stands for Environment, Health and Safety. Our mission is to implement and maintain an effective and modern environment, health and safety management system in our schools' operations, activities and facilities.
Our vision is to conduct and perform our operations and activities in a clean, sustainable, healthy and safe education environment.
As part of our school's EHS policy, we are committed to protecting our students, staff and other people and our environment by managing all foreseeable and potential risks and implementing sufficient and effective control measures. Making students, staff and other people aware of these risks and available control measures through communication and training. Having adequate resources to effectively implement our school EHS management system. Monitoring, checking, and improving our school EHS performance, our EHS objectives and targets achievement to ensure continual improvement for our system.
This induction will highlight the process of hazard identification and risk assessment, common hazards and risk control measures and emergency response procedures in our schools. It is important to know the following three terms and what they mean. Hazard. A hazard is anything that has the potential to cause harm. Risk. A risk is the potential of a hazard to occur in terms of its likelihood and its consequences. Likelihood means the probability of risk occurrence, and the consequences refers to the severity of the risk. So risk is equal to likelihood times consequences. Risk assessment. This is the process of careful examination of hazards and risks that could cause injuries, ill health, and/or damages in our schools. Risk assessments help to protect us and other people in our schools by identifying hazards and risks and setting adequate control measures to prevent them and manage them effectively.
The risk assessment process includes the following stages. 1. Listing our schoolwork tasks including locations, people, equipment, substances, and activities. 2. Identifying the risk. What are the hazards? Who might be harmed? How might they be harmed? 3. Estimating the risk in terms of likelihood and consequences. 4. Evaluating the risk. Risk is equal to likelihood times consequences. 5. Recording risk assessment findings. And 6. Reviewing risk assessment findings periodically.
Looking after the environment and our school's impact on it is just as important as looking after the safety and well-being of our students, staff, and other people in our schools. Common environmental aspects in our school include environmental sustainability, waste management, and hazardous materials management. Environmental sustainability. Our environmental sustainability program aims to conserve our natural resources by minimizing the use and consumption of electricity, water, and paper in our school operations and activities. Not being energy efficient or looking after the environment could lead to long-term damage to the environment and our school's sustainability. Replace standard light bulbs with energy-efficient light bulbs. Save energy by switching off lights, appliances, computers, and other electrical equipment that aren't being used and after school working hours. Provide awareness on energy efficiency and environmental conservation for students, staff, and other people through awareness sessions, posters, and flyers. Reduce water consumption wherever possible. We can do this by closing water taps after use and finding and fixing water leaks and dripping taps. We can reduce paper waste by checking documents online instead of printing out draft copies, by conducting correspondence via email, and by printing on both sides.
Waste management.
Our waste management program also aims to protect our school environment and our community as a whole through the proper management and disposal of our waste from our school operations and activities. Our waste is divided into 3 categories: recyclable waste, non-recyclable waste, and hazardous waste. Waste should be segregated and kept separate in the appropriate bins for proper and safe reuse, recycling, and disposal processes. These waste containers must be clearly labeled. We should recycle water from air conditioning system drainage, canteens, and cafeterias so it can be treated and then reused for irrigation and cleaning purposes. We should reuse certain materials in our schools as much as possible, like paper, plastic, cartons, and wood. We should contribute to the recycling of all paper that can no longer be used, as well as plastic bottles and bags and used printer cartridges by giving these items to recycling contractors.
Hazardous materials. Wherever possible, we will buy environmentally friendly, non-hazardous, and non-toxic products and materials. Hazardous materials such as laboratory chemicals, cleaning products, paints, and solvents must be provided with its material safety data sheets, MSDS, and must be handled correctly with the correct personal protective equipment, PPE, to prevent harmful exposure to hazardous or toxic substances. Ensure hazardous materials are properly labeled, safely stored, and kept separate from other materials. All chemical spills must be cleaned up using spill control kits. Used spill kits must be placed in the correct waste container.
In our schools, we also want to ensure a healthy learning environment. In health, we look at indoor air quality, occupational hygiene, and ergonomics. Indoor air quality. It is important that our schools are provided with clean and fresh air indoors to increase student, staff, and other people's comfort and productivity, and to prevent health problems such as headaches, asthma, and allergies. Proper heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems in our schools help maintain good indoor air quality. Ensure air conditioning systems are always operating, inspected, and maintained in order to supply fresh air and the correct temperature and humidity at all times for the comfort of our students, staff, and other people in our school. Smoking is prohibited in all school facilities and premises.
Occupational hygiene. Students, staff, and other people can be exposed to many harmful substances in schools, such as dust, gases, radiations, bacteria, and viruses or diseases. These substances can enter our bodies in many different ways. They could be inhaled, they could be absorbed through our skin, they could be swallowed, or they could be injected. Poor hygiene in areas such as canteens, clinics, swimming pools, and toilets can result in illness and disease from a buildup of germs and bacteria. Canteens and cafeterias must be located away from toilets and sewage outlets. Practicing proper food hygiene is an important way to prevent exposure to contaminated food and harmful bacteria. Staff who handle food must wear the correct uniform and PPE and must ensure that food preparation areas are clean and disinfected. Canteen and cafeteria counters, walls, worktops and floors must always be kept clean and in a sanitary condition and free of cracks, especially in food preparation areas. Clinics must always be kept in a spotless condition. Clinic nurses must use personal protective equipment, PPE, at all times and ensure they wash their hands after removing it. Contaminated tools such as scissors or needles must be placed in leak-proof containers and appropriately labeled. Swimming pool areas such as showers and changing rooms must be regularly cleaned and kept dry. Practicing proper personal hygiene is an important way to prevent exposure to contamination, infections, and harmful bacteria in swimming pool areas. Toilets, taps, and sinks must be regularly cleaned using disinfectants. And toilets should be well ventilated.
Ergonomics. Ergonomics is the science of adapting a job or equipment, such as furniture, to the human body. Ergonomics can prevent injuries such as upper and lower limbs disorders, strains or sprains, and vision problems. Good ergonomics in our school can enhance the education process and increase productivity. Position filing cabinets so they are easy to access and do not place heavy objects on top of them, which could fall off. Office chairs should be height adjustable and the backrest should support the lower back area. Classrooms' desk seats should be suitable to student body size and shape, allow clearance at the back of the knees, and must support the back properly. Encourage students to change their posture periodically and also to maintain correct posture when seated. There should be adequate spacing in classrooms for students and staff. Your feet should be flat on the ground when sitting at your desk, and your eyes level with the screen of your computer, data show projector, or smart board. The screen must be adjusted to avoid glare and reflection. Ensure monitors and keyboards are also in the correct position. To prevent neck strain, use headsets or speakerphone for long phone calls. Common safety hazards in our school include slips, trips and falls, electricity, access and egress, noise, transport, fire, and emergency response.
Slips, trips, and falls. Slips, trips, and falls can result in injuries such as broken bones, cuts, and bruises. This is why it's important to maintain good housekeeping in all areas of our schools. School areas must be kept clean, tidy, and free from obstructions. Do not run and watch your step. Report any slipping, tripping, and falling hazards to prevent injuries.
Electricity. Electricity can be very dangerous if not used correctly. Electric shocks can be fatal, and electrical fires can also cause loss of lives and damage to property. We must follow the following precautions to ensure the safety of everyone in our schools. Never use electrical appliances close to wet areas. Do not overload outlets with too many appliances. Make sure electrical cords are tidy and do not hang from table or countertops where they could be tripped over. Do not cover extension cords with rugs or other objects, as this traps the heat which could cause an electrical fire. Always switch off or unplug electrical equipment before cleaning or carrying out any repairs. Replace any faulty or damaged electrical equipment and electrical cords. And make sure that electrical equipment is regularly checked and inspected by a competent electrician.
Access and egress. Access and egress areas in schools include exit doors, exit routes, corridors, hallways, and stairways. If these areas are blocked or obstructed, it could cause injuries and delays when evacuating an area, which poses a threat to staff and students. There must be sufficient emergency exits in schools which are located at regular intervals. These areas must be kept clear and free from obstructions at all times. Exit doors must be constructed of fireproof materials and be kept unlocked at all times while students are in school.
Noise. Noise levels that are too high can cause long-term damage to the hearing of students and staff. Music rooms, auditoriums, and indoor playgrounds are particular areas where noise levels can be high. These areas should be constructed with sound-absorbing and soundproof materials to reduce noise levels.
Transport. Injuries and accidents can occur from being knocked over in the school parking areas or from collisions between buses. When waiting for the bus, students must follow the safe traffic procedures. Stand at least 2 steps away from the road. Do not run around. Board and exit the bus one at a time and use the handrail. When inside the bus, students should stay seated, face forward, and obey any instructions from the bus driver. All drivers in parking and vehicle waiting areas must be particularly alert. Motorists must adhere to all speed limits and warning signs when driving in school areas. Students should walk, not run, in these areas and must always look carefully when crossing the street.
Fire. Fires can be extremely dangerous with the potential to cause extensive loss of life from heat and smoke inhalation, serious injuries such as burns, and damage to property. Fires can start when the following 3 elements are present: fuel, oxygen, and heat. There are 4 different types of fires. Combustible solid fires, which burn wood, paper, and fabric. These must be extinguished with water or dry chemical powder. Combustible liquid fires, which burn petrol, paint, and solvents. Use foam or dry chemical powder to put out these fires. Electrical fires, which should only be extinguished with carbon dioxide or dry chemical powder. And kitchen cooking oil fires, which should be put out using carbon dioxide or a fire blanket. To prevent fires, ensure you practice good housekeeping and waste management and store all combustible and flammable materials correctly. Make sure all students are trained on school's fire procedure and know the evacuation route in case of an emergency. An effective fire alarm detection system must be installed in schools and should be regularly inspected and maintained.
Emergency response in case of fire. In case of fire, stay calm, activate the fire alarm, and notify immediately the EHS officer and security guards to identify yourself, clarify the emergency situation and what happened, specify the number of injured persons, identify the location, wait for instructions. The EHS officer and security guard will immediately call and notify the civil defense at 999.
Follow these steps when evacuating a building due to a fire. Ensure your safety first, then take care of and assist special needs cases and accompany them. Warn students, staff, and other people in school. Close windows and doors. Do not use lifts. Follow the arrows of the nearest escape route towards the assembly point and as instructed by school fire wardens. Pay attention to fire wardens' instructions. And stay in your group at the assembly point and do not return to school unless instructed to do so by your warden. Only try to extinguish the fire if you are a trained security guard or qualified to do so. Students and other people are not allowed to use fire extinguishers. Do not risk your safety or that of others. Your safety comes first. Use the nearest fire extinguisher appropriate to the nature of the fire. Follow the instructions of use on the extinguisher and apply the pass procedure. First, pull the safety pin. Second, aim the nozzle at the base of the fire, standing in an upwind location, about 1.5 to 2 meters away from the fire. Then squeeze the handle to activate the extinguisher and discharge its contents on the fire. And then sweep over the fire from side to side at its base.
Emergency response in case of injuries and medical cases. In case of injuries and medical cases, stay calm and notify the EHS officer and security guards immediately. 2. Identify yourself, clarify the emergency situation and what happened, specify the number of injured persons, identify the location, then wait for instructions. The EHS officer and security guards will immediately call and notify the ambulance at 999. Secure the accident scene and assist any injured persons, and until the ambulance and medical rescue team arrive. Take care of injured persons. Only qualified and certified nurse can apply first aid as required. Wait for the arrival of the medical rescue team. Brief the medical rescue team. Eliminate crowds and any unnecessary students, staff, and other people.
The EHS officer and security guards should be made aware of all EHS incidents involving unsafe conditions of work and unsafe acts, accidents such as first aid cases, injuries, property damage, and other types of emergencies such as fire, explosions, and earthquakes. Immediately contact and report any of these occurrences to the EHS officer and security guards for immediate actions, instructions, and guidance. If everyone follows these procedures and precautions, we can maintain a sustainable, healthy, and safe educational environment in our school.
We hope this induction has highlighted common hazards and risks in our schools and offered guidance on how to prevent and manage them. This Environment, Health and Safety induction was brought to you by the Abu Dhabi Education Council.